The story of 4-year-old Gus Lamont has become one of the most haunting mysteries Australia has seen in years. A child vanishes from a family property, not from a crowded suburb or a busy street, but from the vast open landscape of the Outback. Police, volunteers, drones, helicopters, all mobilized. For days, the land was combed inch by inch. They drained a dam, checked nearby creeks, and searched every gully and sand ridge around the Oak Park Station property. And yet, nothing. No clothing. No footprints beyond the first one near the house. No trace that Gus ever left that small patch of dirt. At first, the updates came fast. Daily press conferences, community appeals, emotional statements. But then, silence. Official updates slowed. Detectives stopped giving interviews. Even seasoned reporters started to notice how quiet things had become. And that's what set off the next wave of questions. Was the investigation stalling, or was it entering a new, more secretive phase? Because in missing persons cases, especially ones with no sign of abduction, no ransom, and no physical evidence, police often change tactics. They stop talking publicly and start watching quietly. Every silence, every delay might mean they're closing in, or that something doesn't quite fit the public version of events. Right now, all that's left is a chilling quiet around a mystery that refuses to fade, and that silence may be telling us more than any press release ever could. If you've been following this case and believe the truth deserves to be uncovered, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments what you think is really happening behind the silence. From the beginning, authorities presented a clear narrative. Gus wandered off, nothing suspicious, just a heartbreaking accident in the middle of the Outback. It's a version that seems simple, almost comforting, but it leaves behind too many questions. How could a 4-year-old child travel so far into a remote landscape without leaving a single track? Why did multiple searches, with drones, horses, police, and even military support, fail to uncover even the smallest clue? And if this truly was a wandering case, where did that trail vanish? That's the public story, the one that makes sense at first glance. But behind closed doors, things might not be that simple. Detectives reportedly reviewed call logs, message histories, and vehicle data around the time Gus went missing. Those aren't the kind of steps taken when police are convinced a child simply wandered off. That's what happens when investigators start to suspect human involvement. And then there's the subtle change in tone from official briefings. Early statements focused on hope and survival. Later ones used words like recovery, review, and closure. Those are not accidental shifts. They're strategic. They mark a change in focus from search to analysis, from land to people. Some within the community have quietly suggested that this isn't about incompetence or delays, it's about containment. When the public story gets too simple, it's often because the private reality is far more complicated. At the center of that silence are the people closest to Gus, family, workers, and visitors who were on or near the property that day. Each one interviewed, re-interviewed, and cross-checked against new data. Not because police are blaming anyone, but because every detail matters. In investigations like this, the truth is often hidden in routine. And while the official version remains unchanged, what we're hearing between the lines tells a different story. That the search for Gus Lamont may no longer be about distance, it may be about decisions and what someone isn't saying. While the official updates have slowed, the investigation hasn't stopped. Far from it. Behind the silence, new information has started to surface, the kind that doesn't make headlines but changes everything behind the scenes. Sources close to the search suggest investigators have been re-examining digital data, mobile tower pings, GPS signals, and online activity from the afternoon Gus disappeared. This type of analysis is slow, technical, and often invisible to the public eye, but it's also where the smallest inconsistencies begin to appear. One moment a phone is active, then it goes silent, right around the critical window when Gus vanished. Another device reconnects minutes later, just outside the property range. Alone, these details mean nothing. But together, they begin to outline a map, a quiet digital pattern that could show who was moving where and when. There are also whispers from those who assisted in the search that not every location on the property was equally accessible in those first hours. Certain areas, old sheds, storage spaces, parts of the paddock, were cleared later than others. It's not unusual in a large rural search, but the timing raised eyebrows among volunteers who were there early on. And then there's the behavioral side. People close to the family described subtle changes: tone, body language, and withdrawal. Grief affects everyone differently, but investigators pay close attention to how someone reacts when questions are asked for the second, third, and fourth time. It's not about emotion, it's about consistency. No official has confirmed any breakthrough, but the absence of public updates doesn't mean there's no progress. In fact, it often means the opposite, that police are now following something precise, something they can't risk exposing too soon. Whatever has been found in this second phase of investigation, one thing is becoming clearer. The story of Gus Lamont isn't frozen in time. It's still unfolding quietly beneath the surface. While the world saw helicopters and volunteers combing the Outback, investigators were quietly turning their attention to a different kind of terrain: the invisible map of movement and communication. Phones, vehicles, and GPS signals create a digital trail, and in cases like Gus Lamont's, even the smallest discrepancy can be crucial. Detectives reportedly began tracing phone pings near Oak Park Station, matching tower connections to known locations of family members, workers, and visitors. Every call timestamp and message is cross-referenced to reconstruct the exact movements during the critical hour Gus disappeared. Gaps in activity aren't overlooked. A phone that suddenly goes offline or a missed signal can speak volumes about what happened. Vehicle data has also been under scrutiny. Cars, utes, and machinery all leave digital footprints. Movement along nearby tracks, even for minutes, can reveal who was present, who arrived late, or who left early. Investigators reportedly compare these details with interviews to identify inconsistencies, even small ones, that might otherwise go unnoticed. This isn't speculation. It's standard procedure in modern missing person investigations. By overlaying the digital data with the property map, investigators can see patterns emerge: a device that moved unusually, a call placed at a strange time, a signal that vanishes just when attention should have been elsewhere. Alone, each of these signals may mean nothing. Together, they can create a framework for understanding the movements of people in and around Oak Park Station during Gus's last known hour. The work is painstaking, slow, and invisible to the public. There are no press releases about phone pings or GPS triangulations. There are no headlines about minor signal inconsistencies. But this data, quietly analyzed, could be the key to reconstructing what happened when the Outback gave back nothing else. In investigations like Gus Lamont's, evidence isn't always found in the dirt, water, or footprints. Sometimes it's hidden in human memory, behavior, and the subtle ways people respond when asked the same questions more than once. That's why detectives reportedly revisit witnesses multiple times, not to harass, not to accuse, but to observe consistency and detect the smallest irregularities. When investigators re-interview key individuals, family members, workers, or visitors present at Oak Park Station, they're looking for more than facts. They're studying tone, hesitation, word choice, and body language. A small pause, a shift in posture, or a repeated phrase can reveal uncertainty, stress, or even subconscious attempts to obscure a detail. It's a science of observation honed over decades, and experts say it can be just as revealing as physical evidence. In Gus's case, sources suggest investigators are particularly focused on the crucial period between 4:30 and 5:30 p.m., the window where he was last seen and the first alerts were raised. Each person's account is compared line by line: what they saw, what they heard, how they moved, and what they did. Minor discrepancies, a person claiming to have been inside the house when another says they were outside, are logged and revisited. These aren't accusations, they're pieces of a puzzle. Behavioral analysis also considers patterns that may not be immediately obvious: how someone reacts to repeated questioning, how they respond to hypothetical scenarios, or how they recount a timeline can reveal whether a story is rehearsed, incomplete, or influenced by external stressors. Detectives reportedly take note of emotional cues, subtle shifts in voice pitch, posture, or eye contact, all indicators that memory or intent may be complicated. Even volunteers or locals who may have observed unusual activity are sometimes interviewed more than once. Investigators don't simply take initial statements at face value. Memories can shift over hours, days, or weeks. Re-interviews allow detectives to separate what is consistent from what is inconsistent, building a more precise timeline and behavioral map of everyone involved. In cases with little physical evidence, this approach becomes critical. The human element, decisions, reactions, and omissions, may be the only path to understanding what happened. For Gus Lamont, every small behavioral cue could be a thread leading closer to the truth, a clue hidden in plain sight that only careful observation can reveal. The combination of digital data and behavioral analysis transforms the investigation. Phone pings, GPS traces, and call logs map movement. Re-interviews and behavioral observations map intent and memory. Together, they form a framework that investigators can use to reconstruct a day that otherwise left no trace, and to understand what might have happened during the moments the public never saw. While the public watched helicopters and volunteers comb the Outback, forensic specialists have reportedly been quietly working behind the scenes, long after the initial search faded from headlines. In cases like Gus Lamont's, physical evidence is often minimal, but the techniques and technologies used to examine a property can uncover details invisible to the naked eye. At Oak Park Station, forensic teams are said to have returned multiple times to areas already searched, not to duplicate effort, but to analyze soil, water, and environmental samples with advanced tools. Soil is examined for disturbances that human eyes might miss, subtle impressions in the dirt, changes in moisture, or traces of movement that suggest someone or something passed through. Even tiny fibers, fragments of clothing, or organic matter that were previously overlooked can provide critical leads. Water sources, such as the drained dam, creeks, and troughs, are tested for minute traces of foreign materials. Experts can analyze silt and sediment to see if an object, vehicle, or person entered or disturbed the area. Details invisible during the initial search. Water tests also help determine whether previous searches missed evidence due to natural changes in the environment, such as sediment shifting or debris moving with currents. Old machinery sheds, storage areas, and hard-to-access parts of the property are examined with ground-penetrating radar and other scanning technologies. These tools can detect compressed soil, hidden objects, or irregularities beneath the surface, providing investigators with a map of activity that occurred before, during, or after the disappearance. Trace evidence is meticulously logged and compared against both family and visitor belongings. Fibers, hair, and other microscopic clues are analyzed in laboratories, a process that can take weeks or months, depending on complexity. Even environmental conditions, like wind patterns or animal activity, are studied to understand whether potential traces could have been naturally dispersed. The goal isn't just to find what's missing, it's to reconstruct the scene in unprecedented detail. Every grain of soil, every disturbed surface, and every fragment of evidence contributes to a forensic timeline that complements digital data and behavioral observations. For investigators, this is painstaking work. Unlike the dramatic searches covered on television, forensic analysis is slow, methodical, and often invisible to the public eye. But as former detectives note, it's in these quiet, precise efforts that breakthroughs often emerge. For Gus Lamont, each sample tested, each subtle anomaly mapped, brings the possibility of turning months of silence into clarity. In essence, the forensic work happening behind the scenes forms the backbone of a case where traditional clues are scarce. It's a reminder that even when the Outback gives back nothing, science can still read the story written into the land itself, a story that could ultimately bring investigators closer to the truth of what happened that afternoon. Even with weeks of investigation, the case of Gus Lamont remains officially unsolved. Police have not confirmed any specific theory beyond the fact that he disappeared from Oak Park Station. Yet, Investigators, and even the public following the story closely, consider multiple scenarios, each examined carefully without assigning blame. Theory 1. Accidental wandering. The earliest and most straightforward explanation is that Gus wandered off from the homestead, as young children sometimes do. The Outback is vast, with uneven terrain, scrub, gullies, and dry riverbeds. While seasoned trackers and search dogs combed miles of land, the property's scale makes it plausible for a child to move beyond immediate sight. Investigators reportedly considered this possibility, but the absence of footprints, clothing, or a scent trail makes it unusually difficult to sustain. Theory 2. Unintentional incident. Near the property. Another possibility involves an accident occurring closer to home, something sudden and unforeseen that could have led to his disappearance. While no evidence currently confirms such an event, investigators routinely revisit timelines, vehicle logs, and witness accounts to check for inconsistencies or moments of unreported activity. These re-examinations ensure that even minor gaps in knowledge are accounted for. Theory 3. Human presence beyond family or staff. Investigators have reportedly focused on people present on or near the property during the final hour of Gus's disappearance. Whether visitors, workers, or transient passersby, every movement is cross-checked against call logs, GPS data, and vehicle records. This theory does not presume wrongdoing, only that understanding every person's presence is critical to reconstructing the timeline. Theory 4. Unseen connections or patterns. Some investigators also consider relational or behavioral patterns. This theory doesn't point to a particular individual, but examines whether interactions, messages, or digital activity in the days before the disappearance could reveal inconsistencies or hidden details. Subtle anomalies, such as deleted messages or gaps in phone activity, are scrutinized for their potential relevance. It's important to note that police have neither confirmed nor dismissed these scenarios. In cases like this, public disclosure can compromise investigative strategy. Silence does not indicate a lack of progress. Often it means the work is ongoing and sensitive. What emerges from these theories is not certainty, but direction. Each possibility, whether child wandering, accident, presence of others, or behavioral anomalies, guides investigators in where to focus forensic testing, interviews, and digital analysis next. The theories are not accusations. They are investigative tools designed to ensure no detail is overlooked. Ultimately, the absence of confirmed theories underscores the complexity of Gus Lamont's disappearance. It reminds us that while speculation may arise in the public domain, professional investigations rely on patterns, evidence, and methodical examination, all of which are happening quietly behind the scenes. In cases like Gus Lamont's disappearance, the community often becomes an invisible partner in the investigation. While police lead the search and analysis, locals contribute in ways both practical and subtle, sometimes without even realizing the impact of their actions. From the earliest hours, neighbors, friends, and volunteers mobilized to cover the vast terrain around Oak Park Station. They formed search lines, scoured gullies and dry riverbeds, and offered vehicles, drones, and horses to assist. Every voice calling Gus's name, every pair of eyes scanning the red plains, became part of a larger effort to leave no inch unchecked. Beyond the physical search, the community has also provided critical observational intelligence. Reports of unusual activity, vehicles passing at odd hours, or people entering and leaving nearby properties can become vital clues. Even small details, a sighting of a stranger on a distant road or a brief interaction that seemed ordinary at the time, are logged and relayed to investigators. The Outback community's knowledge of the land is another invaluable asset. Locals understand the deceptive distances, hidden gullies, and areas where a small child could go unseen. Their familiarity with terrain, weather patterns, and animal behavior can help investigators refine search zones and better interpret any evidence recovered. But the role of the community extends beyond the physical. Emotional and social support also matters. In rural areas, collective grief and vigilance strengthen the investigative process. Families, neighbors, and friends often keep a careful eye on those who might have knowledge, quietly noting inconsistencies or patterns in behavior. This vigilance doesn't equate to suspicion. It's part of the wider, informal network that assists law enforcement. Online and social media communities have also played a part, sharing updates, organizing volunteer searches, and keeping the story alive in public consciousness. While police typically avoid relying on internet speculation, public attention can encourage witnesses to come forward and prevent leads from being overlooked. Yet the community's role is delicate. Investigators must balance gathering information with protecting privacy and ensuring that speculation doesn't impede progress. Every tip is carefully verified, and every observation must be corroborated before it can influence the direction of the case. In the case of Gus Lamont, the community's involvement illustrates the broader truth of missing persons investigations. It's not only the evidence found by professionals that matters, but also the persistent attention and engagement of those who care. Their vigilance ensures that the case does not fade into silence, keeping both hope and pressure alive, while investigators follow leads quietly and methodically behind the scenes. Ultimately, in Oak Park Station and surrounding towns, the community has become an extended arm of the investigation, aware, observant, and determined that Gus Lamont's story cannot be forgotten. In investigations like Gus Lamont's, silence isn't necessarily a sign of inactivity. In fact, it can speak volumes if you know how to read it. For the public, weeks without updates can feel like stagnation. But behind the scenes, this quiet often marks a shift from broad searches to highly targeted, deliberate work. Police silence can indicate that the investigation has entered a sensitive phase. When authorities withhold information, it's usually strategic, protecting evidence, preserving witness testimony, or avoiding the tipping of investigative directions. Every word released too early has the potential to alert someone who may be involved or interfere with ongoing analysis. In missing child cases, timing and control of information are as important as the physical search itself. Another interpretation of the silence is precision. The case may have moved from reactive efforts to proactive ones, reviewing every minute of the day Gus disappeared, cross-checking timelines, re-interviewing witnesses, and analyzing digital footprints. These are steps that cannot be rushed or announced publicly, as doing so could compromise the integrity of the findings. For the community and observers, silence can also create unease, fueling speculation and theories. But investigators often see this differently. They recognize that apparent gaps are the spaces where breakthroughs are being built. Evidence is being verified, patterns identified, and inconsistencies tracked. In this way, quiet doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means that progress is being made carefully, deliberately, and methodically. Moreover, silence may indicate that authorities are protecting potential witnesses or sensitive information. Revealing too much before it can be confirmed may put someone at risk or compromise a line of inquiry. In rural cases like Gus's, even a small revelation could change behavior of someone hiding information or of those involved in the disappearance. Ultimately, the quiet reflects a dual truth. Investigations are active, and the answers may be approaching, but patience is essential. Silence in this context isn't neglect. It's a protective and tactical tool, signaling that what is being uncovered is delicate, complex, and possibly explosive. For viewers and the public, understanding the meaning of silence is crucial. It's not resignation. It's not abandonment. It's a reminder that in high-stakes cases, progress is often invisible until the moment is right. And when that moment comes, everything we thought we knew about the disappearance of Gus Lamont could change. Even in the weeks and months since Gus Lamont vanished, one truth remains clear. Silence doesn't mean the story is over. Behind closed doors, investigators continue to trace every lead, examine every piece of evidence, and reconstruct every moment of that crucial afternoon. What is hidden from public view may be some of the most important work of all, the kind that can eventually solve a case and bring long-awaited answers. The absence of updates should not be mistaken for inaction. On the contrary, it often signals that authorities are working carefully, methodically, and with the precision that high-stakes investigations demand. They are following trails that require discretion, revisiting statements, analyzing behavioral patterns, and uncovering inconsistencies that only emerge when every detail is examined with patience. For the family, the community, and those following this case, that silence can be difficult to bear, but it is also a sign that the investigation is alive, that progress is being made behind the scenes, and that the truth is being pieced together in ways the public may not yet see. As viewers and concerned citizens, your role remains vital. Awareness, attention, and engagement keep the spotlight on the investigation and remind authorities that this case matters. Every like, share, and comment is a small but meaningful contribution to maintaining public focus, which can often help investigations indirectly by encouraging tips, insights, or vigilance. So remember, some truths are being protected, not hidden. And when they surface, everything could change. Stay informed, stay engaged, and don't let the silence fool you. If this story matters to you, subscribe to this channel for updates. Like this video to show support for keeping the case alive, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every interaction helps keep Gus Lamont's story in the public eye, because awareness is what ensures the truth doesn't stay buried.